What I'm going to take you through are a number of different styles of difficult behaviour which have been identified in the literature as representing somewhere between 80 and 90% of the types of difficulties that we're likely to come across with folk, particularly within a work context. What I've actually decided to do is to personify these in terms of talking about them as individuals. And I just think that simply is because it makes them easier to grasp. But there are some dangers around in this, and one of the biggest dangers is to assume that people neatly slot in to one of these particular ways of behaving in a difficult way, and life ain't like that. What you'll frequently find is that individuals that you're trying to deal with, that you experience as being difficult, maybe use a number of these different styles, or they move between styles, which immediately raises the question of what do you do in that particular situation. And what I would probably say as we're going through this is, first of all, to focus on and reflect upon one or more of the individuals that you've come along with today in your head as being difficult, and seeing which of these particular styles tend to show themselves most frequently with this particular individual. And in terms of making changes in your own behaviour, what I would tend to focus on is what you would tend to see as being the most common presentation that the person comes along with, to look at addressing that first of all. Once that's addressed, to then move on to the other types of presentation that the person tends on the whole to actually come up with. So one way of actually thinking about this is to view it as strategically cutting off various exit routes that people might have in terms of moving towards different ways of difficult behaviour. But anyway, let's begin to get into these. And again, I think as well, apart from thinking about the folks that you come along with in your own head about this, I think it's also quite useful as well to think about which of these particular styles you personally find most tricky to handle yourself when they're actually presented. And we're going to start off with what is undoubtedly probably the most commonly complained about type of difficult individual, that is frequently called an autocratic dictator. These folks, generally speaking, are bullies. And they are individuals who look upon the world as a place which needs to be controlled, and where, in order to control people, threat and humiliation are typically a central component in achieving that end. In order for me to control things and people, I need to intimidate them, I need to belittle them. And one of the other messages that's often given out, I think, by folk that use this as a particular style is to also give out a message which is something along the lines of, whatever you think you might do in response to this, you need to be aware of the fact that I am willing to go nuclear over this at a far lower threshold than you would ever consider.